Now, Britain's new king has addressed his country and the world for the first time as monarch. King Charles III spoke of his love for his mother and made the same pledge. She died at 21 to hold up the constitutional principles at the heart of the United Kingdom. For more, let's cross to Windsor, where UK correspondent Olly Barrat is standing by. Olly, I must say that it looked like King Charles was rather emotional when speaking about his mother, speaking about the deep pain that he feels that possibly the world over is feeling as well.
That's right, Heidi. He looked very emotional at the end, visibly emotional. He appeared to be tearing up as he spoke the final words about his mother. He said, "May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest." And he talked about her on her last great journey to join Prince Philip, who he called my dear late papa, and he said that he simply wanted to say thank you to her. A lot of the address was about the Queen. King Charles's first address had to be delivered well. I think the early reaction to it seems to be that it was well received. Bear in mind that the Queen herself, in 70 years on the throne, only gave a handful of addresses to the nation. They're considered to be something that is rare and is used when it's absolutely necessary at times of crisis or right at the start of the reign, like we heard from King Charles just earlier on. And so he did have to judge the tone right. One of the very interesting sections of the speech was when he talked about the idea that he now understands that he can't be as involved in some of the, what he described as issues that have been very important to him. Well, that was interesting to hear because he's often been criticised in the past for being too political on things like the environment and the climate. And critics of Prince Charles, now King Charles, have said, well, he can't be like that if he becomes the monarch, and that appeared to be a direct acknowledgement of that criticism and an acceptance that he won't be able to act in the same way that now that he is King Charles rather than Prince Charles. But as you say, it was a deeply personal and at times an emotional first address to the nation and also the Commonwealth. He was keen to stress that repeatedly, that this wasn't just an address to the United Kingdom.
And you touch on an important point where King Charles spoke about how he will not be able to be part of charity work that he was so fond of being, and perhaps, you know, making a difference in certain areas that he was very passionate about. I think the big question that many are asking is, now that he has taken over the reins, there's concern that there might be some kind of change. Of course, his mother being in that position for 70 years and him coming in, of course, he's been in that environment all his life and possibly learning a lot from his mother. But perhaps people are a bit worried that things might change because it is King Charles now.
There's always uncertainty about change, isn't there? And this is change for everyone in the United Kingdom, but also, as Charles was keen to stress, the Commonwealth, but particularly keenly felt here in the UK. The vast majority of Britons have known nothing else other than the Queen as their monarch and their head of state. So there is bound to be some anxiety among some people and some fear about what comes next and whether it is going to mean uncertainty and upheaval and something negative. Charles, though, was also keen to stress the continuity, keen to stress the ways in which he will be a monarch like his mother, in which he will learn the lessons of Queen Elizabeth II. He talked repeatedly about the idea of service and devotion to the British people and serving the Commonwealth as well. So clearly Charles is aware of those feelings and wanted to stress the fact that there is going to be continuity and that he's learnt a lot. He was keen to make out from the long reign of his, as he called her, beloved mother.
I want to speak about plans moving forward. We do know that there is a mourning period, but also perhaps if you have any details about the Queen's body lying in state and funeral plans.
Yeah, we know vaguely what's going to happen, but we don't yet have all of the details. We know that there will be a period in which the Queen's body will remain in Scotland. It will then at some point, we don't know exactly when or how yet, make its way down south to London, where it will lie in state in Westminster, and members of the public will be able to visit there. In the meantime, there's a lot to do with King Charles. On Saturday will be the proclamation of his reign, of his move into the head of state, into the monarch role. That is in some ways already official. It's certainly already taken place. He is King Charles, but there are various steps now just to make that more official, and part of that will unfold on Saturday morning local time. And then that build up to the funeral, again, we still don't know exactly when it's going to be. We still don't know exactly who's going to come, but what we do now know is that US President Joe Biden is saying that he is going to be in attendance. That is certainly setting the bar high when it comes to the guest list in terms of senior dignitaries being there, but it's also representative of the challenges that officials are facing. Who exactly gets the invite, and how many people can you accommodate inside Westminster Abbey in a service for a woman who travelled all over the world for 7 decades and met thousands and thousands of politicians and dignitaries and leaders? There are all sorts of challenges ahead.
Just lastly, Olly, I wonder what's happening where you are. It seems rather quiet, whereas you're seeing scenes at Buckingham Palace where thousands converge to pay their respects and condolences. It seems very quiet where you are.
Well, it's Friday night, and you can see people heading up the hill to the castle. The castle's just behind me, and actually directly in front of the castle there have been crowds all day. There have been people moving up in this direction. There are some coming now over the other side of the road with flowers, and that's where people have been congregating in Windsor to pay their tributes and pay their respects. And I think we'll see much more of that over the weekend here in Windsor, because of course it's the weekend and people who've been at work will be able to gather here and pay their respects in the same way that is happening at Buckingham Palace. And just briefly on the topic of Windsor, we think now that this is where Harry and Meghan are at the moment, and they were mentioned very, very briefly in Charles's address to the nation, but he did express his love for them. We also expect that William and Kate will be in Windsor at the moment too. They now live here, not far away from Harry and Meghan, but who knows whether they're in touch with each other or seeing each other behind the scenes. One suspects not, given recent history, but certainly of interest that both of those two royal couples, we think, are currently in this area.
What I would do to be in that castle right now, just to see if they're speaking to each other. But thank you so much for your insights. We do appreciate it. That's our UK correspondent, Olly Barrat in Windsor.